Hello, everyone. Welcome to Idle Insights. I'm joined today by Treavor. I'm going to say Treavor. Treavor. And I expect everyone else from now on to call him Treavor. We got some exciting news. He's actually going to take over for my, hosting duties at Idle Insights. Oh, my God. Scary. Oh, my God. So he's going to start interviewing people. I don't know. I know he has no experience, really, with Idle Champions or interviewing people. Like on Champions of Lore or, Champions of Psychology or anything like that, or any real interest to get to know people.
That's me. That's why they gave me the job of Community Manager.
That's good old Treavor. Super antisocial dude.
Well, I mean, some people might say that in some ways.
I mean, I retreat to my cave. Like, I am briefly an extrovert, and then I introvert until I'm a tiny little speck of dust.
We're introverts in disguise. We're like the weird Decepticons.
Aw, now that like really puts the Decepticons in a new light for me. Cybertron had to fall. Yeah. Well, sometimes you just gotta blow up your homeworld. So other than that, hey, why do you like interviewing people? Why are you excited to do my job?
God, that really does sound like I'm just giving you the boot. Just walked in, kicked you out of the secret labs chair.
This is mine now. You're just Boba Fett walking up to, oh my God, I forgot his name.
Bib Fortuna.
But how can I forget Bib
Fortuna?
He got the short, man, they both got the short list on Star Wars names. I'm gonna call you Boba and I'm gonna call you Bib.
Yep, and those will be the people named in this Jabba the Hutt scene.
Yep. Boba and Bib on another whirlwind adventure.
We need Dave Filoni to give us that animated series stat.
Yeah, all those good times. That's why there's some bad blood there.
But to answer your question, I do like talking to people. I like getting to know people, especially in this sort of thing where it's like, interviewing people whose characters are coming into Idle Champions from D&D, getting to talk to them about why they love D&D, how they got into it, all the little nitty gritty things with that. I love hearing people's stories about it, and so mainly it's just an excuse to just be able to vocalize my questions in a podcast because I listened to them for so long where I can't. It's just pent up.
It is always a weird experience to like everyone else has an identical story, but it's always charming. And I think this is like what Chris Dupuis and the rest of the design team get to really enjoy is communicating with those people and finding out what they care about their character. And sometimes that's a nightmare for Chris. And when he's faced with someone like me, but someone had to be the worst.
had to set that bar.
And I feel like it was appropriate that was for Avron. I feel like he got the full Avron experience. So, but yeah, so getting to like dissect people, I think, about like what makes them tick about their characters and having suddenly that character come to life is always an amazing experience and an amazing thing that Idle Champions does for people.
Yeah. For those who may not know, I've done interviews before with on my podcast difficulty class. I tried to have people on to talk about their love of D&D and whatnot, and that's like really where it got the hooks in me. Like I didn't think that I would like interviewing people, but like from pretty much the first time, and the first person we had on the show was Justice Armin.
Yeah, Justice is
He's
fantastic.
such a
He's
lovely
a good friend.
person. If you're not following Justice Armin on Twitter, please go do so right now. He is a lovely human being.
Yeah, he is wonderful.
And yeah, like Allie, my co-host, and I interviewed him, and it was great and it was awesome. And we kept having different people on, and I love talking to people about stuff, especially like I like, you know, I talk with B Dave and Aaron every week, and I could have them on this show and we could, you know, get a whole hour's worth of us just tangenting. But I especially do love getting to meet someone for the first time in this kind of scenario, which is kind of weird because there's very rarely that awkward silence or anything, because you're gonna have these questions. The whole point is to get to know each other so that the viewers can get to know that person.
Absolutely.
I love that interaction. It's
it's tense, and I found the older I get, like the more anxiety it builds up. I've never quite gotten used to doing interviews. I love doing interviews. It's my single favorite thing. I like doing them pre-taped.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always an interesting way to get to know someone. And that's why I always love doing it at like NBC and a bunch of other places for video games, and figuring out who people are, and especially getting past like the BS and stuff like that. Like, you know, if there's too much corporate training, and then you can kind of figure out what someone is about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the nervous energy they feel on the other end also allows that to happen, to break through a little bit more.
Yeah.
And who doesn't like to be asked questions about themselves? I don't. I hate it. But I feel like most people do, and I feel like most people don't get seen. I feel like I am very visible and I am very seen, but providing that for other people is great. And seeing someone light up because no one's ever asked them a question before is something as an interviewer you can give someone. Because, you know, like if you were a shy kid growing up, you know, no one asked you nothing. Like most people didn't even know your name. Like that's how it was in my town, you know. So you were kid number 001. Like, you know, maybe I'll make it home. But yeah, so especially when you can apply that to someone who did grow up like nerdy or geeky, or you know, more introverted, and then you can get them to come out of their shell and realize that they have lots of interesting things to say, which they do. Everyone's weird and entertaining, almost.
I have found that almost every person who I've asked, how did you get into D&D, has an interesting story to tell about it.
Yeah.
And that's
because they remember too.
Yeah. Because like you were saying, like, you know, when we were kids and stuff like that, like that sort of nerdy stuff you didn't really talk about. There wasn't a platform to, like, you know, have conversations about that, because it's like, that's nerdy, get it out of here. And so to kind of have that change now and have it so it's like, no, we want to hear how you got into this super nerdy thing. We want that little kid, you know, to just start word vomiting all of their excitement.
Right. I think that's what's. There's also like I think an evolution to, like, if you like interviewing people, you eventually like enter into different stages. And I think I fondly refer to what I'm entering into as my David Letterman stage, where I befuddly wander around with questions, make observations that have no context. And this is why I love his new show so much, because it's how my brain works. I'm not so good at the point questions anymore, because I'm like, I've asked so many.
That's fair.
But you are at peak empathy and succinctness for the rest of the people watching you to understand what you're saying and asking. Whereas, like you say, like I can just riff all day with someone.
Yeah.
But that's not what the show is about.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be Idle Insights, not let me tell you about Star Wars.
Don't get us wrong, we could.
I can do 8 hours of film commentary, and I wouldn't even know if the camera was on. You could just jack into my computer, and you'll get an entertaining show of me just talking to myself about.
Let me tell you the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise.
You know what my biggest shame is, and I had to admit this. I'm like, listen. I'm thankful anyone's making any kind of entertainment, so understand that context. Also, I'll watch just about anything with a vampire in it. So I do not care for the style that is Jared Leto. However,
no.
I weirdly enjoyed Morbius.
I feel like I'm gonna.
Why? And almost in the sense of like, you know how Lost Boys is really weird at the end because that guy should not look like a vampire. And I'm just going to say it. Some people should not become vampires. And the end villain in the 1980s Lost Boy movie, that guy should not have become a vampire. Like that was a bad choice. It was not a good look for him. Everyone else is like super sexy, cool in that. And then we see his makeup and you're like, ooh, ouch. Yeah. So that's a little bit about how one of the characters looks in this. And it makes it okay for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind as I watch it.
And there's some lovely Lost Boys references in it, actually.
God.
So I enjoyed it. So it's the best Jared Leto movie you've ever seen. And I don't really feel that he was in Blade Runner. So I'm just waiting for the DM. Because I laugh about the stuff and then I hear about the stuff. Other than that, yeah, interviewing's cool. If you can ever give the gift to interviewing or getting to know someone, that's always a fantastic thing. My dog is scratching himself and hitting the back of my chair. So there's loud knocking. Yes, Fizzgig?
I thought Jumanji was trying to get your attention.
Yeah, buddy? You done? Okay. It's like I didn't do nothing.
I do think it might be good to make it clear that because I see some stuff in chat, you're not leaving C&E.
No. I'm just not doing Idle Insights. I'm gonna do some more behind the scenes stuff, and I'm working on like more shorter form videos and stuff like that. Trevor is, I think, the person to be doing Idle Insights. I've been doing it for a year. And
has it already been that long?
It's been more than a year.
Oh my gosh.
I also have certain light sensitivity issues, to be completely honest. So I have to kind of like reserve how long I use my eyes, which sounds so terrible. No. I don't want to go too into it, but I do have chronic pain when it comes to my eyes. So that live streaming is a little bit harder to mitigate and take breaks when you're doing that. So
it's true.
But that said, I think Trevor is going to be amazing because he is amazing.
I'm hoping so.
He's going to do way better than me.
Okay, I don't know about that.
I mean, if you don't, then that's on you.
I mean, like, to full honesty, like, it is kind of wild because before I even started podcasting, like, I was watching your videos. And so to like go from that to like, I remember on difficulty class when Averin came to the game, I was like, oh yeah, Todd Kenreck's awesome. I've been watching his videos for a while. Like, you should go check him out. And so now to be at this point where like we're passing the torch of you hosting this to me hosting this is absolutely wild to me and does not feel real.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, the fact that anyone knows me that I don't directly know, that I'm still not used to or okay with.
It's unsolicited.
And that's how I met my wife. She was watching my videos at NBC, and not in a creepy way, but like that was like I want to tell you about the early internet. The Wild so West I have an acquaintance. I have an acquaintance named Felicia Day. At the time, somehow I got convinced no Facebook fan pages, just add people, and that's kind of what she did too. And so I took a note from her because I had interviewed her during Guild Season 1 or something like that. So I started doing that, and I added random people.
Yep,
like you do.
No, I remember those times. I don't use my Facebook account a lot, but when I go on, I still see posts from like IGN editors that I was friends with just because I listened to them on podcasts. And I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah. And so Megan was one of those people, and then I don't know, 6 months or 8 months later, we started talking only because she was doing kind of I won't say for one or everything, but it was like an outreach thing where you posted a photo of you changed your profile photo to a cartoon character to kind of like bring attention to a problem in society and how children should be protected. And she chose Lydia Dietz from Beetlejuice, and I was like, nice profile photo. And that's all I sent. This is the only message I ever sent her. I had no idea who this human being is. And then she replied, and we just started talking, and now we're married. So
there you go.
Marry your stalkers. No.
Oh my God.
I don't mean that. I'm joking. Don't do that. She didn't stalk me, but that's terrible advice. And if you're a stalker, find someone else. Stop. Don't do it. But yeah, so yeah. Other than that instance, I'm shocked when anyone knows who I am.
I'm still very much in the same way. I think if anyone ever recognizes me outside, I will be like a deer in headlights.
It's deeply upsetting. You don't know what's happening. First time happened to me at a Penny Arcade, at PAX. Sorry, I was at PAX on the street, by the way, and someone yelled, "Todd Kenreck!" And I'm like, I for sure thought the jig was up, and I don't even know what I was guilty of. Like, I just like, if I was like in my hometown and someone yelled it, like
you were expecting you're under arrest to follow it.
Under arrest, or there was going to be violence. Like, no one yells your name. Just so you know, no one's like, Treavor Bettis. Run. Like 99.9%. You've seen the movies. Who yells your name in a good way? No one.
The nemesis. Yeah, the nemesis usually is yelling it. Yeah,
it's a nemesis. I mean, they clearly know who you are. So I was very confused. So for 2 years, I probably looked at people like angrily, like I was ready for a fight. So I hope that didn't give me a bad reputation of like, man, that guy's really not in a good mood. But yeah, it's gonna happen. You're gonna run into people you don't know, which is like most of life. I think. See, this is why I shouldn't be in charge of a show anymore. Because
you said, but like this is just our normal conversation. This is just you and me in a meeting.
And they tell me that I don't have ADHD. I'm like, I think you're wrong. They don't know what I am. You're trapped in here with me. But yeah, so I love a good interview shows. I adore, especially good ones. Hot Ones is another good example.
Oh, so good.
He is so good at interviewing and is genuine. And this is one thing that I like very much about you is you are a very genuine person. And I think I am not very good at interviewing people, but I think I am the Julia Child / David Letterman of geekiness, because I will befuddle my way to the point at some point. I will get there. But there's, I think, a charm in like everyone's just looking for something genuine. So I don't think I think that's like the most important is actually caring, and that comes off in Hot Ones.
Yeah,
like, they also do really great research.
Oh yeah, that guy's research is just, and the fact that I'm sure he does, but I never see him with a script or like a reminder for the questions.
I'm sure he does. He does something that I problem is I'll start talking like him, but it's a form of knowing what you're going to say ahead of time by moving your body. So this is something I had to learn at NBC was you will notice his cadence is very much like this. And so he's moving his hands and that's allowing him to hit key points. And so your hands are kind of your script. This is something I used to do at NBC when I had live shots. So I would have my body would inform me when I needed to say the thing and slow myself down as well, because I was using my hands to talk, using my body to physically convey information. Otherwise it's chaos. So
that is good to know.
That's something he does.
Yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong, but watch how he talks. I could imitate that guy. Both.
I'm going to come in there and just imitate.
I'm going to tell you why I'm going to pick on you all day. First off, name that Graham or you will die. No, yeah. I don't know how that would go. Anyways, I want to be so famous one day that I can be on Hot Ones. That's all I want. I don't want to actually be famous. I just want to do Hot Ones, be the first person to document what happens the day after. Because I feel like there's a VH1 behind the music happening in every toilet after that show. And mostly it's praying to some kind of deity. Yeah.
No, I that would I think
they're never laying me back on the show. I'm like, I'm just burning it. Burn it to the ground.
I show up next week, it's just like, well, here we are.
It's literally, look at the background on Treavor.
Yeah, look, it's already on fire.
It's just, yeah.
Look at those embers, yeah. Huh.
We still got a solid 10 minutes. You don't know what else is gonna come out of me? we haven't even got to the weird stuff.
Well, okay. You know what? We talked about something before.
What? Before this?
and even during this, and so we're gonna do a little passing right here. I'm gonna ask you a question.
I don't like this at all.
Too bad. It's happening.
Oh no.
What I want to hear your D&D story of how you got into D&D.
I grew up very poor, but in first edition D&D, my brother was really into D&D, and the books were always around, so I loved the monster manual, and I would flip through the monster manual and look at the art and look at the art of the creatures and read about them. I didn't know what the stats meant or anything like that, and that was the key point of excitement for me. My first character that I actually got to play at any length was Avon, who was a ranger who was deeply good and just wanted to be a nature boy, which was very much me. My very first character, though, that I played was a cleric who was like 6'5", but weighed 120 pounds, because he used to roll for everything.
Mm-hmm.
A healthy man.
Yep.
Yeah, so it took most of the night to make the character, and then I played him for probably 10 minutes in Portland, Oregon. So that's how I got into D&D, through my brother, and it was just like a nice creative outlet, and you would learn about monsters from like all types of mythologies and stuff like that, and I just kind of absorbed it, and I was a big daydreamer. So my entry into D&D, I largely didn't get to play much of it until like middle school to high school, because I was just such an introvert. It was hard to even find people. I DM'd out of necessity. I especially started DMing because there were a lot of bad DMs there at the time. Like some power tripping people sometimes, and it's a neighborhood, right? Like, it's not like the internet now. Like, your friends were dictated by your geography. Crazy, I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so D&D had a very warm spot in my heart. And it was endless amount of entertainment for very low cost, especially when you're picking up books at a yard sale. And then I got into Dragonlance and all that stuff, and Ravenloft, and I still have my original Ravenloft module.
That's awesome.
I have the painting by Clyde Caldwell of Strahd von Serovich in a very beautiful vine frame.
Oh, I'm jealous.
On my wall, and then I have Lord Soth's Ride by Parkinson, who passed away, up on the other side of my wall. I'm a big fan of the artwork for Lord Soth and the intricacies of like the rose stuff. So yeah, it's largely sentimental, and I was an artist as well, and the history of art in D&D is stunning and amazing. It's one of the reasons I love Idle Champions also, is because the art is so amazing.
Oh yeah.
Clearly in a different style, but it's I increasingly freak out because of like Penelope and a Modron, right? Mech suit. Like, where are we going to get that from? Like, that's why Idle Champions is for D&D. Like, you're not getting this anywhere else, buddy. So that's a long-winded answer.
That was a perfectly reasonable and length of answer.
Perfect.
But I'm not the only one with a question for Todd.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh. Lurking Writer says, question for Todd. How surreal does it still feel that Jason Charles Miller made a song about your D&D character?
It feels very surreal. The thing is, like, and this is not me knocking him at all. Like, I have had a lot of time with Avon. His song for Whittle is so good. It is really good. It's so funny. I think that it speaks to like that as a relatively recent character and so much more interesting than Avon. Avon was very much of the time. So like, Avon's the devil came down to Georgia kind of guy. Like, it's very much the character you make when you're an 8-year-old kid. You're like, okay, well, he made the deal with the devil, but tricked him, like that old timey Irish myth. But Will is so bizarre as a gnome that turned into a Dampier and then killed Strahd and then dropped a Trask on a god. There's so much more to play with, I think, there. Whittle is my favorite D&D character, and Riddle, who Megan now plays. So
Riddle's
Megan's
so good.
Megan's such a great player, D&D player. She puts me to shame. She's way better at this than I am.
I won't say the shame part, but no, I absolutely love Megan playing the characters that she has made. They are absolutely fantastic, and the voice is always great.
The voice, I remember the first time she played Whittle, and I just couldn't stop laughing. I don't know how she did the accent.
Like, had she shown it to you before, or like had you
not at all? Nothing. She just came in hot. She doesn't tell me that stuff. Like, but when we ended Heroes of the Veil, I didn't know how she was coming at Asmodeus. She just planned all that stuff out herself, and I was just like, okay, I'm going to try to process all of this. But yeah, she's fantastic. And now Riddle on Legends of the Multiverse is created by Whittle as an auto gnome who is super excited about everything because they're relatively young, but changes their voices to the occasion. And Megan's become quite good at changing her voice.
That's so good.
Yeah.
The artwork for Riddle is badass.
It's amazing. It's like a whole different genre. Like it's this cyberpunk D&D thing going on there.
Oh yeah, no, she does look like something that would pop out of like Cyberpunk 2077.
You see how excited, just like badass, but like, yeah, cyberpunk. Like no one looks happy in cyberpunk.
That's
Riddle
true.
is having the time of her life. Like Riddle looks like she's starring in like a college movie in the 90s. Any other questions? How about questions for Trevor?
Actually, Lurking Rider has a follow-up for me. Question for Trevor: what can we do to convince Dylan that you/your shows need a theme song too? I don't know.
That would be cool. Yeah, why not get a theme song for Idle Insights? Like it could be, or it's the Treavor Bettis show. It's the Treavor Bettis show.
That's it. It's just Jason Charles Miller doing that a cappella. I don't know. Suggest it. I don't know if they're doing any more theme episodes. That was kind of just out of nowhere decision where the other shows were doing it, and I full-heartedly was like, no, Griddle Champions needs that, Garwar needs that, Mars needs that. They've been doing these shows for a really long time. They absolutely deserve that.
Griddle Champions has to just be like two drums on a actual pancake.
Not the griddle, the pancake.
The pancake just
a wet thud.
Previously on Wet Thud.
Let's see.
Bad show. Moving on.
Everyone
gets a theme song.
Lurking Rider's got one more for you before we head out.
How dare you?
Which is a follow-up question from Todd speaking about Lord Soth. Have you heard the Lord Soth song that was made on Bardic Inspiration?
I have not yet. I will. I am filled with knowledge about Lord Soth and Dragonlance and stuff.
He's going to be sitting there taking notes to send to Dylan and Jason afterwards.
Yeah, I will be like critiquing. Like it's hard. I used to critique video games for a living, so which is a nightmare for everyone who knows me because I assess everything and I can't stop. It's the worst.
I get it.
And now the entire internet's like me. It's far easier when there are only a few of us critics, right? You know, and then everyone became a critic when they created a comment section, and now look at us, look how far we've come.
Oh no!
Yeah, it's Trevor, why do you like doing this so much though? Like, we understand why you like doing interviews and stuff, but what is it about the live experience and connecting with people that kind of draws you in?
It's definitely something completely different from anything else. Like there's talk shows and whatnot, and then there's always good conversation to be had there, but like you never have the audience come up and ask a question. And the fact that like you can have a conversation with someone for a set amount of time and then pass it over to chat to see what they've been doing. That's why I love our question docs for that, because they can not only, you know, bring up a question that you, the host, may not have thought of, but it can be a jumping off point for a whole other conversation.
Yeah. No, that's kind of like the miracle of Twitch, and the miracle of live is interacting with the community, which you are very good at. Yeah, I think that, and plus laziness.
I mean, it's true. I don't
gotta
go anywhere.
The questions for us, you know, like that's an easy one. Like we can just gotta kind of coast on into the sunset. Like, ooh, I worked so hard today. People told me what to say.
Yeah. Oh man, gotta take a nap. We'll be down here.
Yeah. Yeah, there is I mean, we say community, but we also mean our jobs.
But yeah, no, I really do love doing it. Since the first episode of Champions of Lore, I have absolutely loved this sort of format.
I don't think I'll miss the authority of it. I think I will start like being interviewed. Like I like in the same way I like being. I used to love dungeon mastering only, and now I'm like, I think I'm just a player now, which is not how that usually goes. So usually you're a player, like player becomes a coach. You know, now I'm like a coach who's like, yeah, I'm 80,000 years old. I'll be a quarterback.
See, the good thing is, though, is that now you're transitioning into player. Eventually down the line, you're going to have that I'm coming back out of retirement moment, and it's going to be great.
Yeah, I'm going to have the David Letterman beard. I'm just going to have the same chairs everywhere I go in random locations, and people will just put up with me, much like they do now. I'm going to go gray. I think I got about like 10 years, and I'll hit it.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like this weird Count Dracula. I got to get my hair cut.
I think it looks good.
I mean, it's poofy.
It doesn't look bad.
I'm having to comb it aggressively to get it to come down. So I don't know if anyone saw me in the meeting this morning, but it was just like, hi, I like putting my finger into light bulb sockets. That's kind of how it's going. Yeah. Don't, after you shave your head for 3 years, the hair doesn't come out the same way. It's just happy to be here. It's like we finally made it to the sun.
Looks like we made it.
That's about time.
Yeah.
And I hereby relinquish control to you, Treavor.
Well, thank you, Todd.
We should have had like a scepter.
Oh, that would have been great.
And then we just took it through the screen. People were like, oh my God. But we didn't. So I have failed.
Well, thank you, Todd. I hope I do the show justice. And you have been a great and amazing host, and you're going to be a tough act to follow.
That's very kind. That's because I'm setting the studio on fire. No, no. Yeah, you're gonna be fantastic. You're always great, and you're just a lovely human. So
are you.
How dare you? Thank you, everyone. I guess I'm gonna close this out.
Yeah, there we go.
For the very last time. I'm Todd Kenreck with Idle Inights. Thank you for watching. Thank you so much, Treavor, for being our guest and now our host. And much in the way of Highlander, just absorb all the magic of the yeah, you gotta flow a little bit, yeah, see. And then we have the flames again. So go hunt down Christopher Lambert and host on.
Will do.
All right.
See you next week, everybody.
Bye.